What is a machine learning engineer?
Machine learning is a way for machines to learn some algorithms from data. So you don't tell the machine what to do, the machine figures out what to do based on some example. That's what a machine learning engineer does.
Do you mind expanding on that?
So the way these models are trained are, first of all, you need to have enough data to train them, image text pairs. And once you have a lot of images, and for each image, if you have a sentence or two explaining what the image is about, then the machine should learn how to map those words to that image.
We saw an image of me and we said, handsome guy. It would say, no, it's wrong. Handsome guy, I'd be like, yes, that's right.
Not really. Well, you had to consistently keep telling the machine that this is not a handsome guy. Then the machine will figure it out.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the NG English Show. My name is John Drummond, or Yang Haoen.
嗨，大家好，欢迎回到 NG 英文，我是 Stephanie。今天的来宾 Vinay 来自印度，他是一位机器学习工程师。像最近很红的 Dall 或是 ChatGPT， 这些都是机器工程师的杰作哦。接下来就让我们来欢迎 Vinay。
Today I am joined by a very special guest, Mr. Vinay. Vinay is from India, and he is an incredible machine learning engineer. Guys, this is so popular. I'm sure right now you've heard of Dall or Dall 2 or maybe Stable Diffusion or probably ChatGPT. This is all the incredible work of machine learning engineers. So I'm really excited to chat with Vinay today and share more about his life and what he's doing in Taiwan. So everyone, please welcome Vinay.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you know, you were kind of telling me off air, I'm so fascinated to learn more about Stable Diffusion and how computers are processing images and training different models. Oh man, it's so cool. So I'm really excited that you're here. We will try our best to keep it high level so everyone can follow along and hopefully learn a little something today. But glad you're here, man. So I was hoping, could you start with giving a little self-introduction? Who is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Vinay?
So yeah, I'm Vinay. I'm from India, and I've been working as a machine learning engineer with Picolage for about 5 years. And I've been in Taiwan for about 6.5 years. And I've been enjoying it, yeah.
It's so cool, man. You know, when we reconnected, you had reminded me that we met maybe about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago, we were doing a beach cleanup in Elan, and I briefly remember us getting to say hey, and I think you were studying Mandarin at the time, is that right?
Yeah, and I think it was more than 6 years ago.
It was more than 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Are we getting old now?
We are.
More than 6 years, and I'm so happy to hear that the journey you've been on, the really honest and pure and beautiful journey of kind of not sure what you're doing and finding your way. And now if I can speak personally, I feel you're in a beautiful place. You seem so happy with the work you're doing every day, and I'm really happy for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. So you're working with Picolage. You're a machine learning engineer. I think that's maybe the first place we need to start. So can you help our audience understand, what is a machine learning engineer?
Machine learning is a way for machines to learn some algorithms from data. So you don't tell the machine what to do, the machine figures out what to do based on some examples. And that's what a machine learning engineer does, in short.
Yeah, wow, that was a great explanation. Thank you for that. So does that mean now you are trying to give computers you're working with at your company certain problems, and you're trying to solve different things right now?
In a way, yes. Practically what happens is somebody else does all this hard work, and you can just take those pre-trained models and do something with it. But the fact that we have these models, which we didn't have many years ago, enables things which were not possible many years ago. For example, having a very deep understanding of images and human language, for example.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily train the models ourselves, but we also have to figure out how we can use them to solve some problem.
Yeah, right. And that's kind of, I feel like we're in the early exploration days right now of what we'll talk about called Stable Diffusion, which you so beautifully explained to me was basically using text and images. And so let's say you have a puppy dog and you now need to put that in words. This is a cute little dog looking at the camera. Is that right?
Yeah.
So yeah, do you mind expanding on that?
Sure, yeah. So the way these models are trained are, first of all, you need to have enough data to train them. And by data, I mean image text pairs. And once you have a lot of images, and for each image, if you have a sentence or two explaining what the image is about, then the machine should learn how to map those words to that image. And by mapping, I mean you feed the model those words or those pieces of text, and the model should learn to map or to give as output the image corresponding to that word.
Yeah, it's so cool. So if we saw an image of me and we said handsome guy, it would say no, it's wrong. Handsome guy, it'd be like yes, that's right.
Not really.
Oh, dang it. I was trying to make a machine learning joke.
Well, you had to consistently keep telling the machine that this is not a handsome guy, and then the machine would figure out. Yeah.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so that repetitive
Yeah.
reinforcement, I guess, is that considered reinforcement learning right there?
You could say so, yeah. Reinforcement learning and machine learning is a different way of learning.
Okay.
But yeah, this is also one way of reinforcement
Got
in
it.
human language.
Yeah, so cool. So anyone, if you're out there and you can Google Dall 2, that's probably the most recent image one or avatar. What's the avatar one right now? Lensa,
I guess. Yeah.
You can train it on pictures of you and be like, over time, this is John, like this is John. And so you could be like, make me a photo of riding a unicorn at a sunset.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, so cool.
Vinay 来自印度，他已经在 Pick Collage 工作5年了。那他其实来台湾居住约6年半了。那 John 其实在6年多前的一个静态活动认识 Vinay 的。当时 Vinay 正在学习中文，他跟大家简单介绍一下什么是机器学习好了。其实就是让机器人透过演算法 algorithm 从数据 data 中学习，等于是你不用告诉他要做什么，而是他会依照一些之前的例子去做回应。那因为其实有一些相关技术了，所以可以用这些已经训练好的模型去做一些以前做不到的事情。比如说我们对于图片跟语言都有更深的了解了，所以就要思考要怎么使用这些东西去解决一些问题。那其实机器学习的方式是这样子，它需要很多的数据，比如说以图片为主，那工程师要解释每一张图片的意思，那机器就要理解怎么将这些图片跟字做连结。那最直接的方式就是要用模型去测试，像如果你打了某个字，那它的结果就是要相对应的图片。而且机器学习有另外一种方式，那就是要不断的加强 reinforcement。那大家可以去 Google 一下最近推出的 Dall 2跟 Lensa， 它使用的方式有点像是我们要让机器人理解照片中的人是你，然后等他接受这个讯息之后，再请他帮你制作成一个外星人或什么的，那他接下来就会做出一个外星人版本的你。我们继续来听接下来专访吧。
So how does someone become a machine learning engineer? Maybe you could start with a little of the origin story. Of course, we'll get into your story with Taiwan, but what made you interested in machine learning, and maybe when did your tech journey begin?
My tech journey began during my undergrad days. I learned how to program in university, and I have a decent programming background, and I was always interested in math. And when I began doing machine learning, it basically needs both math and programming, and it just worked out. I found it pretty interesting. And I first got into machine learning because I was looking for a job, and this was a very popular field, so it was a way of increasing my chances of getting employed. But yeah, I just got hooked in.
Yeah,
it was pretty interesting. Yeah,
it's so cool. And maybe thinking of some action steps our audience could take if they're curious about machine learning. You said math and programming, but are there any skills that you could maybe give as tips and advice that students or people who are thinking about transitioning could learn now to help contribute to the world of machine learning?
I think it's three things. One is Python programming,
Python,
and second thing is probability, and third topic is linear algebra. So if you have a good command over these three things, I think you would do pretty well as a machine learning engineer.
Awesome. So Python, the programming language, probability and statistics, and then linear algebra.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one of those things. I have Python a little bit now.
Yeah, so you're
I'm not anywhere close to contributing.
33% done.
There we go. That's good probability right there.
Yeah.
来宾是在大学的时候学习科技相关的知识，那他学会了如何写程式， 而且他一直以来也对数学很有兴趣。那机器学习其实需要数学跟写程式的能力。那他当时在找工作的时候，机器学习是个蛮热门的领域 popular field， 所以会这项技术的话就能提高他的录取率。来宾会给想要踏入这个产业或学习这个技能的人的建议，就是要学 Python 程式语言、几率 probability 跟线性代数 linear algebra。 看来我天生无法当机器学习的工程师啦，因为他刚说的所有的科目我都是最烂的。那来宾其实刚好提到，只要掌握这些科目的话就比较容易上手哦。我们继续来听接下来的专访吧。
Thinking then about kind of the world of stable diffusion, I think this would be a fun kind of thing to break down today. What is stable diffusion? I keep hearing this about this. Maybe we could help our audience understand stable diffusion a little bit.
So stable diffusion is a model which was trained to produce images from text, and it's one of the many models which basically learned how to map a piece of text to an image, and it's so far the only open source model, which is why it became so popular. And it's called stable diffusion because it's a diffusion model and it was made open source by Stability AI, so I assume that's where the word stable comes from.
Yeah, and so to diffuse something is a great word in English, right? It kind of means to break apart, and that's kind of what's happening. So we have a full picture of us right now talking, and then you would break that into small pixels, is that right?
Yeah.
And then is that considered noise, or you're adding noise to it?
Yeah, so this idea was actually inspired from diffusion in physics, and there's a very good talk about this topic from the guy who actually not discovered but who was actually able to use this technique to produce images, and he talks about these parallels between how diffusion occurs in liquids and how diffusion is implemented for these models. But yeah, so in physics, for example, if you add a drop or two of red dye in clear water, after a couple of seconds or minutes, it just mixes and becomes a homogeneous liquid, and that's diffusion. And denoising is basically reversing that process. And the interesting part is that this direction of mixing, which looks unidirectional, at a very, very small scale, it's very difficult to tell whether it is diffusing or whether it's denoising. And this observation was the observation that led to building like one of these techniques.
Great analogy there. So picturing a glass of water, putting in a little bit of red dye, like one drop, eventually it becomes a very maybe pink glass of water, and that is diffusion. And so it's so fascinating. Thank you for that wonderful explanation. So I know a lot of my engineer friends hate when I ask maybe a question about their future and what they're excited about, but is there anything you're excited about with machine learning?
Oh yeah, a lot of things. I'm excited about how stable diffusion or these diffusion models in general evolve over time and how it affects, I would say, the daily lives of people, and not just programmers, but also people who interact with art in any way, either create it or consume it.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. And I'm really happy that you're in the field, and I wish you continued success, and hopefully your passion keeps developing with it.
来宾解释，最近很常听到的 Stable Diffusion 是一种训练模型，它能够将文字中的意思产出图片。那这个模型会特别受欢迎的原因，是因为它是唯一一个开源软体 Open Source。那如果你跟我一样对程式一点都不了解也没关系，现在为你解说什么叫做开源软体。英文称为 Open Source Software， 缩写的话就是 OSS， 也称之为开放原始码软体。那它是一种原始码可以任意取用的电脑软体。那这个软体的著作权持有人在软体协定的规定之下保留它部分的权利，并且允许用户学习、修改以及用任何的目的向其他人分发该软体。那这个模型会叫 Stable Diffusion 的原因是因为这是一个 Diffusion 扩散模型，而且建立的模型公司就叫 Stability AI。那 Diffusion 其实也是物理学 Physics 的一个名词。像如果你在水里加了一滴红色的颜料，那过一阵子它可能就会融合一体变成粉色的水，那这就是 homogeneous 同质。那来宾其实蛮期待这个扩散模型之后的演变，跟它会如何影响我们的日常生活。虽然我目前也是无法想象它要怎么应用在生活当中，但还是蛮期待看到它的发展的哦。 我们继续来听接下来的专访吧。
Do you mind if we switch gears, though, a little bit?
Sure.
Because I think it's really beautiful. You're in Taiwan, from India. You were here studying Chinese, but now you're working with a really cool international company doing machine learning. So how did that journey begin?
So the first time I came here was when I was traveling in Asia, and then Taiwan was a very pleasant surprise. And at that time, I decided to spend more time here and learn the language and then figure out the next step. So I signed up for Mandarin classes here, and then, and then here we are.
Yeah, it's so cool. And so now would you consider yourself fluent in Mandarin?
No, I'm far from being fluent.
You're comfortable and
Yeah, I can get by.
you get by, right? And so is company culture now here for you? Are you speaking English every day, or are you speaking Mandarin every day? What's the work-life situation?
At work, I mostly use English because my colleagues' English is much better than my Chinese. So whenever I try speaking Chinese, it just...
They stop.
As soon as I get stuck, we just switch to English very quickly.
Yeah. And so thinking about your journey a little bit in India, was I know English is officially the second language of India now? Or was it?
I don't think it's technically an official language.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Could be. But it's very common. It's a lot
very
more common
right? Yeah.
than here in
So
Taiwan.
were you learning English as you were growing up the whole time?
Yeah, I began learning it since kindergarten.
Yeah, right. So cool. And so thinking though about your language journeys, do you remember anything, let's say for Chinese, what helped you grasp the language? What helped you understand it better?
I think it was two things. First thing was I had a lot of free time because I wasn't working back then. And second thing was I was just enjoying doing it. So I didn't burn out. I didn't feel the pressure to do something I didn't want to do. And I had a lot of time to do it, and I was in Taiwan, which meant that I could just practice what I learned immediately. So, yeah,
you could get that great feedback loop.
Yeah.
And I think when we went to the beach cleanup, right, we were out in the East Coast. We were having to use Chinese a lot at that time. So were you doing a lot of activities trying to use your Mandarin as well?
Not necessarily with the intent of using Mandarin. I was just trying to do a lot of activities in general, especially the ones related to nature. I like the countryside here. It's ridiculously beautiful out here. And I went to the beach cleanup because it's in Ilan, it's a beach, and cleaning up is a good thing, so why not? Yeah.
I'm so happy because that's something I'm very passionate about, kind of raising awareness around ocean culture and life and all that. Was that with Torden? Do you remember Torden? Does that name ring a bell with you? He was a Brazilian guy living
I don't know. But that was when you had recently adopted two puppies.
Yeah, that's when my journey began. So I had just arrived, basically,
Okay.
and my dogs now are 7 years old.
Oh, nice.
So that's the reason I basically stayed. Yeah, so they might have been. So you met my dogs when they were probably puppies. Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So cool, man. And there was one thing that you were mentioning to me. I think you did you make some like Mandarin language learning apps at one point?
At one point, yes. So I built...
This is so cool, guys. This is when you can harness technology and language. You can build.
Yeah, and I was also like just trying to build some random stuff and see if it would work out or not. But I built an app which was just a couple of very simple games to practice your Mandarin, or just some very simple characters, in collaboration with a company in India which was teaching Mandarin.
That's so cool,
in
man.
Physical classrooms. Yeah.
So you were like gamifying learning right there, kind of playing games to help you to help your retention rate on the app grow. Is that the idea?
Yeah, and I think gamification was one of those buzzwords we used back then. Yeah.
So cool. What did you build it in? What languages were you using for programming?
Yeah, it was an iOS app, and I used Swift for that.
Nice. I think that's like all you could use for iOS these days, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also a lot more easier.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, compared to Objective-C. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool, man. That's fun. So as a little side hustle right there, a little side project, man, love it.
来宾是在亚洲旅游的时候第一次来到台湾， 那当时来了之后就喜欢上这里了，所以就决定来学中文。那 John 有询问他认为自己的中文 fluent 流利吗？那其实很谦虚的说他 get by， 也就是勉强过活。那来宾说其实公司大部分的时间还是使用英文，这是因为他同事的英文可能比他的中文还好。那像如果他们在用中文沟通的话，那来宾卡住了 get stuck， 那他们就会快速的切换回英文。其实在印度英文是非常普遍的语言了，那来宾是在幼稚园 kindergarten 就开始学了。那来宾有提到他学中文的技巧之一，就是因为他当时可能有蛮多时间可以练习的，那其实非常乐在其中，可以慢慢学，也不会觉得过度疲惫 burned out， 而且也不会压力太大，因为他不必做他不想要做的事情。那 John 有回忆起他们当时在进滩时其实蛮常使用中文的，而当时他并没有特地为了练习中文而去参加很多活动，其实就是单纯的想要参加很多活动，尤其跟大自然有关的。来宾当时也在做一款的 App， 那它主要是用一些游戏的方式让你练习中文。那这是跟印度教中文的一间公司合作开发的。当时他就想说，用游戏的方式是为了要保留 retention 用户的注意力。我们继续来听接下来的专访吧。
Awesome, dude. Well, we're coming to the end of the show here, and a question I'd love to end with is if you could go back and talk to a younger Vinay, would there be any advice you give yourself about language, machine learning, life, anything?
Nothing about language or machine learning. I would just like to emphasize how important it is to learn how to speak and learn how to talk to people. These two skills are going to get you quite far.
Yeah, wow, yeah. So learning how to socialize right there, or do you mean just get your points across, articulate yourself? What do you mean?
Both. So when I say learn to speak, that means how to articulate. But that's different from talking to people. So that's what I mean by learning to talk.
Yeah, like learning how to read people and flow in
just
the
having
conversation.
good social skills, good communication skills. Yeah.
It seems like that's what you will be training machines with sooner than later. Dun dun dun. Next chapter.
I don't know.
Yeah, because is that where the evolution might go? Is we train our machines to have human-like interactions with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it, right?
Just making us, less social.
Less,
I guess.
yeah, like we can just be like, "Hey, Vinay,"
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
it says it for us.
Yeah.
Wild.
来宾会给年轻自己的建议，就是在学习语言的时候，最重要的就是要会说，并且表达清楚 articulate， 因为这对你会有非常大的帮助。当然，除了会说之外，其实也要懂得在社交场合中听到大家说的含义跟背后的情绪，其实这蛮重要的。那来宾也希望之后的机器学习也能做到这样子的地步。我个人是觉得蛮期待，但也有点害怕。毕竟我认为这代表机器人跟我们越来越像，有情绪跟社交能力了。你们觉得呢？那我们就谢谢今天的来宾 Vinay。
Well, where can people find more about your life?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn by the name of Vinay Sisodia. It's spelled Vinay Sisodia. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Please look him up if you guys are curious about the incredible world of machine learning. And machine learning, is that synonymous now with artificial intelligence? What's the difference right now between machine learning and artificial intelligence?
I think artificial intelligence is an umbrella term, and machine learning is one of those intelligences, I would say.
Got it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for making some time, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Bye, everyone. Peace. All right. Well, that is our NG Ingwen show for today. We hope everyone enjoyed listening to that. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now Spotify. You can search NG Ingwen, or you can search on IG NG English ICRT. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday morning from 6:30 to 7 and Wednesday night from 9 to 9:30. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.